On October 1, 2023, the EU's Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, CBAM, began, imposing carbon tariffs on imports of steel, aluminum, cement, fertilizers, electricity, and hydrogen. By January 2026, importers must buy CBAM certificates linked to the EU's carbon prices. CBAM aims to prevent carbon leakage and ensure fair competition between EU manufacturers and foreign competitors. For Korea, exporting significant steel and aluminum, CBAM creates immediate and long-term compliance challenges. CBAM reflects a growing trend to integrate sustainability into trade rules. The EU's Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence Directive mandates companies in the EU to identify human and environmental impacts in their supply chains, affecting Korean suppliers. The EU Deforestation Regulation, effective December 2024, bans imports of commodities linked to deforestation, requiring proof of sustainable supply chains. These regulations mark a shift beyond traditional trade compliance. Developing nations reliant on commodity exports face the greatest burden, lacking traceable production systems to meet EU standards. Korean firms, as manufacturing exporters, must adapt to carbon emission requirements. POSCO is investing in hydrogen steelmaking and carbon capture. Similar efforts are seen at Hyundai Steel. Samsung's semiconductor production faces scrutiny over carbon emissions and supply chain reporting. In 2020, the Korean government announced a $61 billion Green New Deal for renewable energy and industry transformation. Korea's 2050 carbon neutrality strategy aims for significant emissions reductions. Companies like LG Energy promote low-carbon batteries. SK Innovation focuses on recycling and sustainable materials. Hyundai's hydrogen fuel cell initiatives position it competitively in a sustainable market. Green trade requirements contrast environmental goals with development equity. Nations like Uzbekistan and Bangladesh argue these standards hinder their market access post-industrialization. This dilemma poses negotiating challenges in forums like the WTO, where developing countries oppose integrating environmental standards, viewing them as protectionist. The urgency of climate change demands universal action while leveraging trade policy needs addressing. Discussion questions. 1. Is CBAM a legitimate environmental measure or a guise for protectionism? How should Korean steelmakers react? 2. What implications does the deforestation regulation hold for developing exporters? Is the compliance burden too heavy? 3. Can sustainability provide lasting competitive advantages for Korean firms, or will it just be a baseline requirement? 4. Is the argument of developing nations regarding environmental trade barriers persuasive? How should trade rules balance these issues?